Welcome to Launchpad, the unique radio show and podcast that celebrates new book releases and the authors that created them. Now, let's take off with your host, Grace Sammon.
Wow, so excited to be here with the heads of Launchpad. Can I touch you? Maybe not through the screen, but this is super exciting. And Mary and Grace, I have to ask first, because I have this whole NASA vision in my head. Is that what we're thinking with Launchpad? Is that how the name came about?
Well, I think it came about because we really wanted to create a collaborative place for authors to launch their books and to celebrate their books. And since most books air on a Tuesday, we decided to create a Launchpad and make something really exciting for authors to collaborate and have fun.
I think that's fabulous. And I'm so glad you mentioned the whole Tuesday thing, because, you know, that's been traditional, the day that books get launched. Mary, do you know why it's a Tuesday?
No clue. Do you have an answer? Are you setting me up because you know the answer?
No. Good answer. Like, you know, not on a Monday because people are still getting over the weekend. And this way they have time to buy the book to read when the weekend I don't know. I don't know what Tuesday.
I don't know.
You are our champion of book marketing, so I thought maybe you had an inside vision.
I'll look into it and get back to you.
No, better. Make something up.
We've been known to do that.
I've discovered that if you make something up and you just say it with authority, people believe you. So how did you two meet and start this collaboration?
We met through Bookish Road Trip, which was at the time a Facebook group. It's more than that now, but we met there and we kind of became like, you know, COVID internet friends.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever met in person?
No, we have not.
I love that. I love that because, you know, people who don't understand, you know, even with COVID, how you can actually meet and form bonds and business partnerships with people that you've never been in the same room with. I know people have trouble with that even now.
I mean, before COVID, I would have said this is like not going to happen. This is weird, and I'm not going to make a friend on the internet.
Right. Like, didn't it used to be kind of skeevy to make a friend on the internet? Like, wasn't it?
I think that's our age. You know, like my kids make friends online and don't think it's weird at all.
Yes, but didn't we as parents worry? Like, didn't we say things like I just said to you? Do you know them in real life? Did we say that? And now, I mean, the three of us, I've been so fortunate to know you for a while now. And no, we don't know each other in real life, do we?
No,
we don't, but we've created such great collaborations. Mary sets a great tone over at Bookish Road Trip. And when we launch Launchpad, which will be the radio show and podcast with some book coaching starting in August, it's going to be a collaboration between Authors on the Air, Global Radio Network, the Bookish Road Trip, Mary's coaching business. And it's really about that collaboration that we wanted to see happen. And one of the things that crept up during COVID was I created something also called Author Talk Network. And you, Stephanie, have been a fabulous collaborator on that. We're launching an ebook in a couple of weeks. There's going to be a panel series. So I don't know, maybe the fact that we all got jammed into these little tiny screens made us also more creative.
Well, I mean, the good thing about these little tiny screens is no one can see the pandemic pounds that we all put on because we're all only about this big, right?
Yeah, as long as my computer screen is high enough, you can't tell.
Yes.
It's all okay. It's all okay. But Grace, you're absolutely right. We have all of these different synergies coming together, all of these, it's like the perfect collaboration. And in a sense, because we weren't distracted with drinking coffee, we were able to make more things happen on the screen, which is great. So I just want to hit some of those things that you mentioned, just so that our viewers, not just about Launchpad, but about some of these other things that you're involved in. Mary, tell us a little bit about your book consulting. I want to hear about that.
Sure. So I am an author marketing coach. And the idea is that most of us have written books and don't have a marketing background. And the skills that you need to write a great book are not necessarily the skills that you need to market a great book. And I kind of learned it the hard way. I was a teacher, so I certainly wasn't learning marketing skills there, except for twisting middle schoolers' arms to do their homework, which, maybe is marketing. It's something. Anyway, and when I signed my publishing contract, I decided that I needed to learn how to market. Like, I knew that my publisher was not part of the deal. I was kind of on my own, and I needed to learn how to do it. So I started learning, and that was in 2019. And if you're going to follow this timeline a little bit, you will realize that my book might have come out in 2020, which is maybe not the best time for a book to launch from a debut author. Mm-hmm. But because I was so into this marketing thing and I had a plan, my plan did not go through the way I envisioned, but I had a starting place for the pivot, and I had started to build connections, and I had started to lay groundwork. And so when that happened, I was able to make more of it than I feel like people who were just kind of winging it the whole time were. And so anyways, turns out I kind of like marketing. I know that authors aren't supposed to say that. We're supposed to say we hate it or whatever, but I think it's kind of fun because I think of it as a way of like building communities and collaborating and making friendships and supporting other people. And what's not fun about those things? So I thought, I've learned so much and I would love to help and support other authors. And hence I've started this author marketing coaching process. Mm-hmm. And I have, and this is a small part of it. So if you are a guest on Launchpad, you also get sort of an introductory chat with me. It's about 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. I'll have you fill out a form tell me a little bit about your book, send me your link to your website, and what your goals are and what your questions are. So kind of a good place for me to start and understand where you're coming from and where you'd like to go. And give you a few ideas. Hopefully 15 minutes is quick, but hopefully it'll give you a taste of some of the other services that I'll offer as well. So
fantastic. And so exciting to hear that you actually embraced the marketing, because I hear from authors all day long, and I'm sure you do too. They thought the hard part was writing the book. And then they were in for that rude awakening when they discovered that was probably the easier part, and selling the book is totally different. So good for you for taking the bull by the horns and not only learning about it, but liking it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's how you look at it. If I thought of it as just promoting myself on social media all the time, that would be annoying, and I wouldn't like that either. And I think that's what some people think that marketing is screaming, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. And like, nobody wants to hear that, and you don't want to do that. And that is skeevy, to use your word from earlier.
It is. And I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of people are very hesitant because they don't want to be annoying. They don't want to be self-centered. Right. It's a mindset shift. Instead of saying, buy my book, you're trying to turn that whole message around, which is great.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I think we're trying to accomplish with Launchpad is that collaboration, because we'll have 4 authors on at a time. Mm-hmm. And to be on the show, you have to agree to promote the other authors at the same time. So you'll be on the show, it'll be a Facebook Live, you'll be able to introduce all of your own followers, but you're going to have the other followers from the other authors also watching you. And then what will happen there is hopefully you'll gain more followers, but when you get the link to the live show for your own promotions as an author, you're going to agree to promote the other authors. So if the 3 of us were on the same show, if I'm going to go and say, yay, I was just on Launchpad, but I was also on with these other 2 great authors, Mary Helen Sheriff and Stephanie Larkin. So we're hoping for an exponential amount of coverage each author gets. So in addition to the Facebook Live, you'll then also be put on Authors on the Air, Global Radio Network, Spotify, Anchor. So your podcast will go everywhere, and you'll have those links to promote it. So it's the one person, but it's also it's not just about me. It's about launching a book in this great community.
Oh, Grace, I'm so glad you said that about exponential, because I've said that so often to people, but you said it better, is that if you promote it to your group, and you promote the other 3. Now everybody is getting 4 times as much, which we all know on social media is actually 10 times as much because success breeds success. So thank you. That is huge to get people who want to help each other.
Yeah. Writing a book is a pretty lonely activity. But marketing a book doesn't have to be.
When you say it like that, Mary, it doesn't sound horrible. It
doesn't sound horrible at all, Mary.
It's like going to a party and meeting people. And you're right. That is the fun part. And writing the book, people, you're in a room, you're typing, you're all by yourself. But yes, everyone thinks that marketing is like this horrible thing, but you're making it sound more like it's fun and it's networking and it's meeting people and being part of a group.
Choose how you market, right? So, you can choose to do it in a way that's fun and inclusive and building community, or you can choose to wear a sandwich board and scream "buy my book."
Does that work, wearing the sandwich board? Because people try it.
Yeah, well, let's do a test. You big and let me know.
We'll release a book. We'll walk around with a sandwich board screaming, buy my book, and see what happens.
Or we'll get arrested.
But you do make it sound like so much fun. And being on Launchpad as a guest sounds like a really good time. So you're going to be one of 4 authors that's on at the same time. Now, when you're selecting these authors, if someone is fiction or nonfiction, or are you putting them together? Or are they going to be separated? Is it going to be like you're just feeling the synergy and you're really trying to get the room, shall we say, to work? How are you going to do this?
Well, initially, the response has been incredible for us. We're so glad we have a show that doesn't exist that people are currently booking for. So that is something that is just fun and exciting to think about. At the moment, we're really looking for that synergy. And I think it'll depend a lot on the individual guests, and they'll get a lot of material ahead of time, like how to be a good guest on a podcast, and they'll get all the tips and they need, like always have a headset or an earbud. So that part will be easy. But right now we're looking for that synergy because I think it'll be interesting. So far as we've looked at the guests, some are very disparate. And that will be an interesting challenge for me as a host. But some of them, someone wrote to us this morning and said, I booked for October, but my girlfriend who is in the same press is booked for September. Could we be on the same show? And then we'll be able to talk about our press together. And I love that because it's another layer of that synergy. So perhaps presses will say, wow, this is a great idea. I want a bunch of my authors on at the same time. So again, it's just building on that energy. I can see that we might do in the future, after we quite honestly get our own feet wet in this new venture, I can imagine that we might do an October show on mysteries. We might do something along those lines to attract specific authors. But at the moment, we're just really excited about the synergy.
That's fabulous. And I'm so glad you mentioned about a press wanting to be featured, because while it's a great opportunity for individual authors, and that's what we're hoping is that individual authors are hearing, wow, you get this exposure, you're getting the exponential efforts of other successful authors, you're getting professional marketing advice, you're getting a huge package of fabulous things here. But it's not just good for an individual author. If a small press wants to sign up and bring their authors to you, that would promote the authors and the press itself. And that's a wonderful way to get people's authors to the forefront, and the publishing house as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're looking at building some partnerships like that with some writing groups as well. So if you happen to be watching and you're running a press or writing group, let us know. We're happy to chat with you about how that might work.
Oh, I like the sound of that too, because I'm sure a lot of people belong to a writing group that they have several authors. Now, let me ask you a question. I know it's called Launchpad. Are you only going to accept people whose book is like, here it is, it's coming out tomorrow? Because I know a lot of authors who maybe the book's been out for a year or two, maybe they launched it during pandemic and it kind of went up with a whisper. Could they come after the book's been launched and kind of relaunch? Is that a thing?
Well, Mary and I are both smiling because one of the authors who just signed up her book has actually been out a year, and we just went, oh, is that okay? and we're
Okay, good.
we're excited. I think that all of us during the pandemic, and Mary and I haven't had a chance to talk this all the way through, but I don't see at the moment that, if your book has been out 5 years, we might probably not think that's a launch-padable moment. But there's also books that come out differently too, right? So some people had their book out for a year or two and then come out with an audiobook. We would celebrate that very easily. I know with my own book, when my book came out, it came out, and then 6 months later, we did a re-release through Ingram Sparks. So there are different ways that people launch their books, and I think Mary and I would be real supportive of that.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, not just from the perspective of someone being on Launchpad, which is a huge opportunity, but also for people to realize that staggering the launch experience is a really good thing from a marketing perspective too. I know we have books that we'll have them come out, say, in hardcover, and then they won't be available in the digital or the soft cover for a while, or we'll have the book come out in print and then the audio book comes out 6 months later, because it does give us another opportunity for launching. Mary, as a marketing person, does that help when we're trying to,
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're a super big name, then you can do it all at once. But if you're, trying to create your own platform and you're kind of new to the game and you don't have this like millions of followers waiting for your next book, then having the staggered thing gives you something else to talk about that's not the same old thing again and again, trying not to like just beat people over the head with buy my book. But hey, I actually have some news. And the news is, this is exciting.
Exactly. And also, there are authors out there who are releasing a new book every 3 or 4 months.
Right.
Some people have that kind of prolific writing to them, but if you don't, by staggering your release, it gives you a little more time. Mind if I ask you an author question for the two of you, because you are both wonderful authors, and now you're involved in a million other things. Are you finding time to write? And if so, what?
Grace, you go first.
I'm going to go first because we are taping this on June 1st, which is my first day of being on hiatus from any social media or any interviews. So you can see how well I'm doing on that since we're doing this today. But, I've learned an important lesson in my preparation of finding time to write. When I wrote my first 3 books, I wrote in airports, airport lounges, in tiny little airplanes when, the screen is coming back like this. I wrote when I had time to write. When I wrote my novel, I had lots of time. So I would stay a whole day of writing. And since The Eves came out, I keep thinking, oh, I can't write because I have all these other things to do. What I need to do, and I decided this morning, is after this, I can go to my desk and write for an hour. There is nothing that says, and I had really gotten into that mindset, and it was a bad mistake. I had gotten into the mindset of, oh, if I don't have the whole day to write, I can't write. And that's a huge mistake. I did it with 3 other books. I can do it again. So I don't, but I'm making it. Mary.
I sometimes do better than other times, but what I try to do is block off time on my calendar for writing. And my time kind of shifts. I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. They've been in school. They're about to not be in school. Then there's travel, summer vacations and things going on. So seasonally, it seems like my time is different and I have to learn to adapt over and over and over again. But I am writing something right now, and it's a young adult dystopian novel set about 30 years in the future-ish, and it's the story of a girl who basically lives in a virtual world because a pandemic came that they were never able to cure, vaccinate, solve.
Wow.
And so everyone has just kind of taken to living in this virtual world instead of going outside. And except for a group of people who are very religious and believe that God sent the pandemic to clean the earth of sinners. And so they live out there. And anyway, so a boy from that community and a girl from the virtual world are going to meet and fall in love.
Ooh,
I love it. I love it.
I can't wait to read it. Well, before we wrap up, I do have to ask you the important questions because we're talking about Launchpad.
Right.
How do we sign up? Where do we go? How do we do this?
Well, you can find out more about Launchpad on my website, which is gracesammon.net. And there's a button for Launchpad. My email is down below. It's grace@gracesammon.net. You can find Mary Helen Sheriff almost anywhere on social media, and you can direct message us for there. And we would love to hear from people and build some fun collaborations. And, you know, Stephanie Larkin, founder and CEO of Red Penguin Books, an amazing press. Mary and I are so honored that you would help us launch Launchpad with this interview today. Thank you.
So excited to have you. Believe me, I'm thrilled. And this is a huge resource for authors, our own authors around the world. I'm thrilled that two people like yourselves have stepped up to help others because it really is such generosity of your own talents and time. So thank you so much. And thank you for joining me. You're awesome. And I can't wait to watch you.
Thank you.
This episode is copyrighted by Grace Sammon and Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. Thank you for visiting with us on Launchpad.